Coming up on WUFT's First at 5, a University of Florida group says that they're fighting for their First Amendment rights. How students for justice in Palestine say they are standing up to state leaders trying to silence them.
Plus, dogs living in feces, urine, and trash in a local home. The call that got the homeowners arrested for animal cruelty.
And right now it's clear skies and warmer temperatures, but the UF weather team is tracking another cold front. They are timing it out on your UF weather forecast.
First at 5, from the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WUFT News First at 5. I'm Bianca Smith.
And I'm Loren Miranda. Thanks for joining us. As the Israel-Hamas war intensifies, pro-Palestine student groups continue to take action against Florida lawmakers trying to deactivate the organizations. WUFT's Noelle Marie Suarez is live outside the University of Florida campus. Noelle Marie, the Students for Justice in Palestine at UF versus Rodriguez began session in Tallahassee this morning.
Students for Justice in Palestine at UF challenged Chancellor Ray Rodriguez at the Northern Florida District Court today. The student group filed a lawsuit in November attempting to block Governor Ron DeSantis' order to deactivate SJP groups on Florida college campuses. Direction, Chancellor of the State University System, Ray Rodriguez, released a letter to university presidents in late October. In the memorandum, he called for the immediate disbandment of Students for Justice Palestine chapters, 2 of which he recognized as active in Florida, 1 at the University of Florida. He claimed the national SJP organization is in support of Hamas. Hamas was designated a foreign terrorist group in 1997. SJP at UF immediately reacted with resistance to Rodriguez's claims, moving to stop the order.
There's still a student organization, and I feel like trying to remove a student group just based on their political views or just their views in your channel is a very dangerous precedent.
The UF SJP chapter, which was founded in 2009, states in its lawsuit that it is independent of the national branch. The American Civil Liberties Union of Florida is defending the group's First Amendment rights.
University officials have an obligation to protect free speech on campus. They have an obligation to do both, not sacrifice one for the other. And I want to say that I think the University of Florida administration and this relatively new president is perfectly capable of doing both.
As the group faces resistance at the Capitol, the UF chapter of SJP may meet equal resistance back on campus. In addition to UF and the University of South Florida, deactivation orders have occurred at University of Pennsylvania and Harvard University. The ACLU tells us is now awaiting a ruling. Reporting live from the University of Florida, Noelle Marie Suarez, WUFT News.
The suspect police in Ocala say shot and killed a man in the Paddock Mall late last year was just indicted on murder charges. Albert Schell Jr. faces premeditated first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. Back in December, investigators say Schell killed David Barron in the food court of the mall. They say he also shot 2 other bystanders before leaving the scene. He was captured about 2 weeks later. Schell is in the Marion County Jail with no bond.
WUFT's Gancarz-Davies joins us now with the weather forecast.
Looking behind me right now, we have our campus cam. You can see a lot of cloud coverage in the sky that's been here for pretty much the past couple of days. Current temperature is 79, but it would have been even higher if those clouds had not been there. Our highs today across the board, we're hovering just about that 80-degree mark, a little bit cooler the more north you go, as is typical, but generally around 80 degrees, which is quite warm seasonally for us here. Looking at our storm tracker, you can see a couple scattered showers hovering around Lake City, just north of Alachua, but we're going to have a little bit more wet weather coming in this weekend. As we look at our evening planner, you can see that temperature taking a dip right after sunset and continuing to decrease just a little bit to those mid-60s. As we keep looking at our weekend, we do have a storm coming in, but that'll be timing up after the break.
The Florida Highway Patrol is investigating what caused a pair of separate crashes in Ocala overnight. The first collision shut down the southbound lanes of Highway 441. One patient was taken as a trauma alert. The other was taken as a non-emergency victim. About 8 miles down the road and nearly 4 hours later, another two-vehicle crash caused a victim to be trapped. MCFR said it took half an hour to free the victim due to heavy damage. Both victims are currently being treated at a nearby trauma hospital. And we now know more about Thursday's fire in Marion Oaks. Fire officials say they were able to save a house from a bush fire after a 911 caller reported the fire in her yard. The forestry department was called in to help. Crews quickly flooded in to fight the flames for almost 2 hours. Approximately 3 to 5 acres of forestry were burned and no one was hurt. The cause of the fire is under investigation.
A Citrus County couple is facing animal cruelty charges after deputies discovered half a dozen dogs living in squalor conditions. Roy Alexander and Angelica Addison are each facing a total of 7 cruelty counts. Animal control were called out to a home earlier this week due to a barking complaint. When they arrived, they say there were 3 Chihuahuas running in a yard full of garbage. In the backyard, they found an unresponsive dog that took several minutes to wake up. The officers say the entire house was covered in feces, urine, and garbage. When the homeowners arrived, they were arrested.
Deputies in Marion County are warning neighbors to be alert when it comes to a jury duty warrant scam. The sheriff's office received a report of a person who claimed to be Sergeant Jones, calling a woman and threatening that she would be arrested for missing jury duty. The scammer said that the woman had to go to the sheriff's office and pay a fee of $2,500 with a cashier's check. The sheriff's office warns that scammers often try to create a sense of panic to force you into action. They also confirm that they do not accept payments over the phone. If you think you missed jury duty, you can contact the Marion County Clerk of Court to confirm.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture is touring UF as part of the Deputy Secretary's College Tour. Deputy Secretary Solch Torres-Smalls and USDA Chief Scientist Secretary Dr. Shavonda Jacobs-Young spoke with students to see the future of agriculture. Deputy Secretary Torres-Smalls says that it's important for the department to come to the university because UF is at the center of the cutting-edge work. The Agriculture Department's work varies from researching crops to training the next generation. Smalls spoke with students about investing in clean energy, alternative sources for farmers, and how to support small to mid-sized farmers. Smalls says that the USDA is looking at the short and long-term future of the agriculture that touches people's lives in every way possible.
Whether it's the food that you find at the grocery store, whether it's the food that the farmer grows, but also if you're getting school meals or if you're benefiting from the beautiful natural resources in our national forests.
Smalls and Dr. Jacob Youngs were able to tour the farms and greenhouses and talk to specialty crop producers. The USDA says that they are excited to continue to learn from the grantees about the research and talk about the historic investment the Biden-Harris administration has made.
Gainesville Regional Airport is receiving a 4-story parking garage to replace its existing facility. The Gainesville-Alachua County Regional Airport Authority approved it in a meeting Thursday. The 420-space transportation facility and parking garage are expected to be completed in late 2025. Lighting was an area of concern regarding this facility because of its proximity to nearby homes. Airport Authority members discussed how the lights could shine into the windows of people's homes late at night. There are considerations for 15-foot and 18-foot light fixtures that could mitigate how much light reaches those residential areas.
Dwynette Smith, the Metcalf Elementary School music teacher, was named Alachua County's 2024 Teacher of the Year. The Education Foundation for Alachua County School hosted last night's ceremony at Trinity United Methodist Church. Smith says that her career didn't begin in education, but music has always been an important part of her life. She was introduced to music by her elementary school teacher and began giving private music lessons to students in college. As a music teacher, Smith advocates for including the arts in school curriculum. She does so by sharing her love of music with people of all ages.
Coming up next, youth sports are seeing an alarming decline.
The factors behind why more children are choosing to hang up their cleats. Plus, UF is leaving their imprint on the professional volleyball world. We'll introduce you to Florida's newest team after the break. Stay with us.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
The number of children quitting youth sports is increasing, and it's due to burnout, stiff competition, and injuries.
Absolutely. WUFT's Emilio Boutros went through the new report and is live in the studio. Emilio, the report says that by age 13, kids have completely quit their sports.
Athletes go through all levels of intensity, from the mental challenges to the physical trials they endure as a result of the sport. In this report, we discuss how those difficulties are causing some competitors to call it quits.
Sports is a huge part of the global culture. City of Doral's Parks and Recreational Athletic Coordinator Kent Harris says many parents encourage their kids to play sports for the positive benefits.
I believe that youth sports is the ultimate platform to teach young people socialization skills, fitness, wellness, health, teamwork, all the collateral benefits sports and having to interact and come together as a group, working with other people to achieve a common goal.
Even with the benefits, kids are quitting sports. According to a clinical report by the American Academy of Pediatrics, 70% of youth athletes drop out of their sport by the age of 13. In addition, 75% or more of U.S. teens don't meet physical activity recommendations.
When young people get to the point where I consider it like a more serious level of competitiveness and commitment and challenge. Once that begins to happen, young people start to reassess or reevaluate their passion, commitment, interest.
Higher competitiveness can lead to less participation. Buchholz athletic director and baseball coach Ron Brooks offers another explanation: burnout. One definition defines burnout as exhaustion of physical or emotional strength or motivation, usually as a result of prolonged stress or frustration.
Right, and I definitely see, kids play a lot of baseball games now, right? There's a lot less practice than there used to be in youth sports because they're playing so many games. So I think, you look at an athlete now and they don't realize how special and important games are because they play so many of them.
And here are some steps that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends for parents and guardians to help their kids avoid burnout and injury from sports. These steps include promoting proper nutrition, sleep, and recovery, promoting positive experiences in the sport, and taking notice of your kids' injuries. Live in the studio, Emilio Boutros, WFT News.
A first of its kind women's professional volleyball league is now here in the United States, and we are just hours away from the first ever match in Florida. WUFT's Chris Wills took a trip down to Orlando to catch up with some familiar faces to Florida Gator fans as they prepare for their first match.
Practice. Countless reps.
Straight up.
Endless hours. All for the chance to show off in front of the fans.
In a way, a little bit like anxiety, but it's a good anxiety, I guess.
But even the 20-year veteran is a little nervous today. In a matter of hours, Ari Cruz will be part of the first Pro Volleyball Federation match in Orlando.
When I had the call that Orlando was going to have a team and they were interested in me, I was really, really happy about it.
At 42 years old, Cruz has played all across the professional volleyball landscape. She's played for teams in 5 different countries, none of them as close to home as the Orlando Valkyries.
And having all those fans and family be here, try to watch me one more time, ending my career, but it feels great to be here.
And as the team continues to prepare for its first match, many believe that now is the perfect time for professional volleyball in the United States. It is the most popular team sport for high school girls with over 470,000 participants in the country. And the fans are there too. Over 92,000 people packed into Nebraska's football stadium to watch a volleyball game this year, a record number for any women's sport in the world. That to go along with 30 other Division I programs that also broke their attendance record, and the TV viewership is there as well. The championship game between Texas and Nebraska saw 1.7 million viewers, the most for the sport in the United States, which is why partners like CBS and Bally have agreed to stream the games all season long.
7 teams will compete in the inaugural season with 3 more on the way.
Women's volleyball is the one sport in the country that does not take a backseat to the men's game. Women's volleyball is the premier volleyball. When people think women's volleyball, or they think volleyball, they're thinking about the women first.
And now the women are taking center stage.
To be able to tell them yeah, this is my job, this is what I'm doing, and for them to come and be able to enjoy all the hard work that I've been doing, I think it's pretty cool.
And it's also a chance for former Gators like Cruz and Shanna Joseph to return to the state where their careers took off.
We have another level of mentors for the younger players, and now the mentors are for our college players, and not just the national team that they get to see on TV once every 4 years.
Being a role model for those looking to a career in the sport.
1, 2, 3, go! I hope we inspire those little girls and those young women that to keep working hard and sport, there's nothing to be afraid of.
The journey to the inaugural championship begins in Orlando at 7 p.m. Chris Will, WUFT News.
And we've got a frontal system coming in this weekend. I'll be timing out the wet and cold for you after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Looking back at our campus cam, you can see the heavy clouds coverage in the sky with the sun peeking through as we head into sunset. We've got temperatures just around 70 degrees under that 80-degree mark, which is unseasonably warm for our region. Our high today was 81, which is quite close to the record of 85 way back in 1950, over 70 years ago. Whereas the usual temperature for us around this time is just about 67 degrees. Looking at our current temperatures, we have 79 here in Gainesville and pretty much temperatures oscillating around that 80-degree mark in our region. Little cooler if you go north. Looking at our storm tracker, you can see some scattered showers around Lake City north of Alachua, but there's going to be some more rain coming in as we have a cold front that's going to push that weather towards our region this weekend. Saturday morning lows are just in those mid-60s. You can see over by Jacksonville we have fog coming in. This is coming from the coast due to sea breezes, and it's hovering around that I-95 corridor, so keep a lookout for that if you're out early in the morning. Looking at our satellite, you can see this frontal system that's going to be making its way towards us, bringing some colder weather over the next couple of days and some rain tomorrow evening. As we look a little closer timing out this system, Saturday morning it's just entering into the tip of Florida, so we shouldn't expect some weather in the morning, but as it moves closer to us throughout the day, getting to the 9 p.m. hour in the evening, that's when it's going to start to enter our region and we'll start getting some showers or storms. Luckily it's moving past us overnight, moving into Sunday morning, where it won't be raining for the rest of your day, but those cooler temperatures are going to be beginning. Looking this weekend is the Hogtown Medieval Fair here in Gainesville at Depot Park. As I was just talking about Saturday day, you don't have to worry about rainy conditions until the evening, so you should be all set to have a nice day, and it's going to continue the warm temperatures we've been seeing just around 80 degrees. Since that weather is coming in overnight, the grounds might be a little wet Sunday morning, but you shouldn't be getting rained on throughout the day. So the grounds should be drying up as we continue that. We have a live cam here in Ocala just showing that cloudy sky and those clouds moving throughout the system as we keep going through. Looking at our 7-day outlook, we have those warm temperatures for today and Saturday, hovering in the highs just about 80 degrees and those mid-60 lows. Remember, we have that rain coming in Saturday evening and heading out Sunday. Temperatures dipping as that cold front comes through with lows in the mid-40s, increasing to the 60s throughout the week and hovering with our highs in those high 60 marks, not quite reaching 70 degrees for the rest of your 7-day.
Coming up, basketball coach Todd Golden previews Florida's matchup against Georgia tomorrow. And Florida Gymnastics takes on Alabama in a clash of top 10 ranked teams.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Ben McLeish. Gators Gymnastics has a critical matchup tonight against the 6th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Jamie Goldman is live at the O'Connell Center with more. Jamie, what can you tell us?
Ben, in just over an hour, there will be a sold-out top 10 gymnastics meet right here in the O'Connell Center. The 8th-ranked Gators will look to feed off this crowd to stay undefeated on the season. In their last meet, the Gators beat Auburn thanks to a big performance from junior Leanne Wong, who won sole possession of 3 events in that meet. Tonight, the Gators continue SEC play as they welcome Alabama into the O'Connell Center. The meet is scheduled to begin at 6:45. Live from the Exact Tech Arena, I'm Jamie Goldman, WUFT News.
In men's basketball, the Gators take on Georgia tomorrow, looking for their 3rd straight win. The Gators beat Mississippi State 79-70 on Wednesday to even their SEC record to 3-3. The 8th-place Gators could make a jump in the SEC standings with a win over 6th-place Georgia. Florida coach Todd Golden talked about the challenges of facing a Mike White-led Georgia squad.
I have a lot of respect for how the coaches. His teams are really organized. They're really disciplined. They don't beat themselves. And I feel like, when I'm watching other opponents in our league and when they're competing against Georgia, I tend to agree or align with a lot of their game plans and what they do. So, this is going to be a tough game tomorrow.
Tip-off for tomorrow's game is at 12 p.m. In women's basketball, the Gators fell short to Ole Miss in Oxford 81-70 last night, despite a season-high 33 points from Leilani Carrera. That's the third straight game of 30-plus points for the senior standout. Women's hoops falls to 1-5 in SEC play and 10-8 on the season. They come back to the O'Connell Center on Sunday to take on 15-4 Texas A&M. The Gators' men's and women's swimming and diving teams played against Florida State today. The diving teams met right here in the O'Connell Center, while the swimming teams were in Ocala. Both the men's and women's swimming teams defeated Florida State 154-108. One final note before we go, Santa Fe College opened their baseball season today with a 13-7 win over Lake Sumter State College.
Alrighty, Ben, thank you for the sports.
Now before we go, Ben, one last check on the weather.
Well, like I was telling you earlier, we do have some wet weather coming in this weekend with that cold front Saturday evening, early Sunday morning, causing that temperature decrease to bring the temperature to the upper 60s for the rest of the week. Mid-40s for the lows, and that's going to continue for the rest of the week as we continue looking at that. After this weekend, there shouldn't be too much rain.
Thanks, Ben. BBC World News is next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
But your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.